Okay, in this video we're going to bring up a controversial topic on AR-15 rifles. Okay, but first off, if you would, hit the like button and subscribe. It would help my channel grow and everything else. So, the AR-15 platform is probably one of the most popular rifles in the USA. Very popular, a lot of people own them, a lot of people like to own them. But on the other hand, there are people of the opinion that civilians or just a common person should not own this firearm, okay, or anything even similar to it, okay, because it serves no sporting purpose. They have called for bans, and at one time guns like this did have a somewhat legal ban. They call, some states force you to register if you are in possession. They change the state or local law where you must register the gun, which, if you do that, will lead to a confiscation, forced confiscation of the gun. You will be ordered to turn your gun over, and there were plans to compensate you, to outright, during the plague years, the National Guard would just go house to house. There was a plan, I don't think it actually happened, and confiscate said weapons, or all weapons. So this is something that, has always been a bone of contention or a controversy. I mean, it's crazy. And what it all boils down to is if the weapon has a pistol grip, a detachable magazine, a folding or collapsible stock, and a flash hider that these people use to determine this class of weapon. Now, a standard detachable magazine for this rifle at the time, and what the military uses, is 30 rounds. They come in anywhere from 5 to 100 round drums. There's a whole array of detachable magazines for this weapon in different capacities. Some states just outlaw the magazine. Some states won't allow you to have a flash hider, a pistol grip, or a collapsible folding said stock. So you will see these guns with these weird state legal features that are different. Okay. Now, the premise for this is because it is a military weapon, and that the normal citizen has no legitimate sporting purpose for something that holds 30 rounds. Okay. This would only be used by mass murderers and deranged people, and also any type of group or organization that is looking to rebel against the government. Okay? That's another one we kind of don't discuss, because for years the U.S. military has sold its old obsolete guns to the general public. That was an ongoing thing. Springfield trapdoors, 30-40 Craig rifles from the Spanish-American War, the bolt-action rifles from World War I and World War II, either the pattern 17s or Springfield 30-06s. This was done without any remorse or anything, and those guns do not have detachable magazines, pistol grips, or anything like that. But what I think a lot of you are not old enough to remember when a lot of this started was during the 60s and 70s, or especially the 60s, there were a lot of political assassinations. President Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and President Kennedy's brother, and several other people. And also there was a movement of military, ex-military retired generals that did not think the way the government was being run was correct. And this is true, this is not a conspiracy. They did uncover some plots for people to overthrow the U.S. government. One was in the 1930s, which never really went anywhere, but there was another one planned. They caught them in the planning stages for it got out of control, put it that way. But there's 2 times that I know of. Now, we'll look at what really started this back in the mid-70s was the US M1 Garand. We got this rifle here. The United States built millions of these during World War II, Korean War, and until they adopted the M14, our government had millions of these rifles. Granted, they are not 5-shot guns, they're 8-shot guns, so it kind of disqualifies them for hunting. But the government wanted to know, what are we going to do with all these guns? They're just lying around. We might as well just sell them off to the public and, recoup our money. There was an outcry that if these guns were sold freely and released to the general public, crime would shoot up. Mayhem, anarchy, forces would try to overthrow the government. And it was denied. They said that this gun here had no sporting purpose, okay? This weapon, same thing, had no sporting purpose. An average citizen should not own a combat-proven semi-automatic firearm, okay? Even though it doesn't have a removable magazine, it doesn't have a pistol grip or a flash hider or anything like that. This had no purpose being in the hands of civilians and should not be freely sold or distributed to where the general public had access to it. All right, this is an old concept. All right, and people believe that. Now these things are collector's items. All right, they're antiques. But getting back to the ARs, people have that attitude and thought about AR-15s. And many people believe that you do not have a legitimate reason to have something like this. All right? Now, I hate to tell them that there are shooting activities and sports where you can use this. You can hunt with it. You can get a 5-round magazine and go and varmint hunt with this gun, whatever. So those are kind of not too correct, but it just makes some people feel uncomfortable that large amounts of these guns are around. And the very strange thing is, the more that there's a public outcry, the more that it's in the news, and the more that gun control advocates push to have this gun banned, confiscated, whatever, the more people seek to buy these, and the more of these guns that probably people that wouldn't really have bought them to begin with have gone out and now own one, to where this is one of the most popular weapons platforms in the United States of America. And the market is so flooded and there's so many of them out there that the actual value and cost of these firearms have dropped to an all-time low. We're now, it's ridiculous what you can purchase one of these guns for. It is. Like half of the value, or not quite half. I'd say about 60% of what they were worth at one time. And, the more they push it, the more the demand for this goes up. It's beyond ridiculous. The more these people complain about it, the more people go out and buy them. So why? The question to me is why? What's the reason? If people really, really thought that this was a bad thing, why do so many of these have been sold over the years? It's something, it's all somebody's point of view. All right, but that's my thoughts on it. It's kind of ridiculous. I thought I'd kind of explain, how over history, there is, and it's the same politicians. If you go back and look, the same politicians today that are out there and very vocal were the same ones when they started their careers back in the late 70s and early 80s that said, hey, we can't sell these old World War II guns. Our society will crumble. I believe the politicians are nervous in their corrupt behavior and the crimes they commit against U.S. citizens, that they don't want them well armed because one day there will be a revolt. And I think that's the main crux of what the situation is. All right, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.